Hello peoples, welcome to episode 42 of World of Warcraft Dungeon Progression Challenge. I just need to go over something real quick before starting the video officially. Now I've counted the number of days until Legion launches and the number of videos I'll have to do until I get to the end of the series. And I found that there's not enough time to get it all done in time. So I'll have to reformat these episodes just a bit. Instead of running the full dungeons, I'll just go over the bosses in each dungeon. They're the only real challenging part of the Dungeon Progression Challenge, and they're what makes it challenging. Trash isn't that challenging to anyone. I may go over boss achievements if there are any. Now I've pre-recorded about 3.5 episodes worth of footage so far before adopting this new format, so it'll be a bit chopped up, but still as short as I think I'd prefer. After I get through that, I'll be using the shorter boss-only format, which will be after the Heroic Wrath 5-man speedy thing. Now, with that said, let's get started on episode 42. So General Bjarngrim actually has a massive patrol route. He goes between here, all the way back there, up here, up to there, and I think at each, corner, intersection point, whatever, you either turn on or off his empowered electrical charge, increases his damage done by 30%. As there's an achievement on heroic difficulty to defeat him while he has this buff. Best thing you want to do is defeat the lieutenants that accompany him, then deal with him proper, because, well, while those guys are up, and if you're tunneling Bjarngrim, tank is taking a lot more damage, and it's more likely that he could die. So, as a warrior, he shifts between defensive, berserker, and battle stance. You may have seen it there. In defensive stance, he casts a spell reflect shield on himself. He takes reduced damage, of course. Spell reflect again. I think that looks like to be all that he does. In berserker stance, I think he does blade storm or whirlwind. Or maybe he just has increased attack speed because he's dual wielding now. Increases damage done by 25%. I'm just moving him through the area that you'd move through normally as I go through the fights. There it is, whirlwind. Looks like blade storm to me, because when I cast whirlwind, it's just a single hit attack, no cast speed or anything. So maybe he can show us battle stance. I wonder if he resets if I pull him too far. What's that doing? Attack speed increased, and he's wielding a two-handed weapon. Also casts slam. Okay. So, boss number 2, Vulcan. What he'll do is run to his forge, summon constructs, or I guess craft or animate constructs, if you want to say it that way. Temper. And I don't think they have a threat table, so they will chase down whoever they want. Vulcan also to cast Shattering Stomp, which will, explode brittle golems. What that means is, when you defeat a golem, it's defeated, but it still remains. See, this blue one here? So, if you're standing next to one when he casts Shattering Stomp, I guess you'll take area damage next to whatever the golem is. I'm not sure if that removes the golem. I think it did. I may have caught a glimpse of it back there. Next boss is kind of fun. INR. Come on, aggro. Thank you. At half health, he disperses into little electric ball things that chase you around. How about we show that off now? Thank you. So you want to run away from these until it stops. Why? Because if you're standing next to them, you take a small amount of damage, plus a stacking debuff that increases nature damage taken. Ouch. Stop. So you could easily... Can you defeat these? No, they're immune to damage. So you could easily die if you try to stick around and stand where the boss was. Plus it's extra bad if INR casts this on you or someone close to you. And you take this damage... What is it? Static Overload. Causes you to deal damage over time to yourself and anyone near you. And final boss, Loken, Troublemaker. One thing I kind of like I love to hate to see people do on this encounter. I almost killed him there, whoops. I couldn't show you. So, Loken, throughout the encounter, applies this debuff to players, which deals damage to players over time throughout the encounter. It has no duration, and the damage increases the farther you are away from him. And it's funny because people stand away from him and the healer has to spam heal and then they die in like 4 ticks. And it's easily rectified or countered by stacking directly on Loken. However, you can't stack on him forever because, as you've seen, he casts Lightning Nova. Deals... what is it? Oh, you know, I didn't know that. This damage aura actually increases nature damage taken. Anyways, so Lightning Nova obviously deals damage to anyone close to Loken. When you see him starting to cast it, just move away till he's done, and then move back in so that you can reduce damage from Shockwave Aura. It would kind of suck to be hit by Lightning Nova while Shockwave Aura is up. Yes, Fist of Loken. Okay, definitely an upgrade. I'll put those on. May apply a Wrath Gem if I can find one. And on to what's next. Utgarde Pinnacle. Let's go. First boss is Svala Sorrowgrave. After she speaks with the Lich King and receives his, I guess, blessing of power, whatever she calls it. No upgrades. So she turns into a Valkyr, and then that's when you can actually start fighting. Not exactly. Still some more RP and dialogue. At 50% health, you put a player on top of this altar, and they'll be stunned as her sword slowly drops from the sky and, I guess, falls on them, deals big damage, and if they manage to survive it, they also take taking damage, which also kind of sucks. So the way to free that player is to kill the 3 banshees that show up, who are channeling the imprison thing. Also, sometimes she'll call for flames to randomly hit players from these braziers, fires. I think that's pretty much it. And also, she's usually engaged right here, where she's, I guess, spawns. Will she cast it on me if I'm alone? She will, and I'm stuck. So, the funny thing is, usually she's defeated in the center where she spawns, where she becomes attackable, and players fail to notice the sword is still descending at that time. So while they're busy thinking, oh my gods, I have to get this level 187 loot, it's so good, they run into the sword and get killed. Oh, look at that. I didn't know that. So the achievement for her on Heroic is to have the sword kill a Scourge Hulk, but I didn't know she could actually be damaged by her own sword. She died from it. That is hilarious. So you want to right click this to, I guess, start the next encounter. Once this little red ghostly orb appears, you can stop and move, kill stuff. So that little orb floats to the center of the room. I guess it imbues these taxidermied gigantic beasts with power or whatever, something like that. So you kill 4 of them in a random order, 1 at a time. Then you actually fight the boss in the back there, which is a Magnator. What's he called? Gortok Palehoof. He's got a stacking shout that reduces your max health by a percentage. I think he's got a spear impale. I can just look it up, of course. Whoa, what is this? Oh, this lists the abilities of all the little creatures and stuff. So, anyways, you saw that the little red orb channeled to Gortok. It's actually because on regular difficulty, you only have to fight 2 of these things. Anyways, Dungeon Journal is full of the abilities of all the little taxidermy statues. Withering Warlord, that's the health reduction. Impale, there it is. Throws a spear at a random player, causing physical damage over time. Next boss you encounter right away, Skadi the Ruthless. On Heroic difficulty, he has a chance to drop a blue Proto-Drake. I'm going to stick his mount Grauf on focus for a very good reason. And I have focus turned on my minimap. So this encounter was unique in that Skadi automatically, what is it? Well, obviously automatically, it's a program, it's a game. He'll start out by jumping onto Grauf and doing flybys on, I guess, this rampart type thing. So your objective through here is to run through to the end, defeat the Scourge Reichel, and collect harpoons that drop from the harpooners. Here's what they look like. It's hard to miss. Ta-da! So you want to gather 3 of these. By right-clicking, they will be added to your inventory. And when Graf flies around again, you want to right-click the harpoon launchers to, I guess, damage Graf and dismount Scatty so you can actually attack him. Now, I could have tried using the same launcher several times in a row, but there's like a small cooldown that prevents that, so that's why I ran to each one. Scatty's abilities, he does a poison spear. I think he has a stun on the tank. Yeah, definitely. I remember seeing that. It is called... Oh, but before I explain that, he does a whirlwind where he will focus a random player. The tank can taunt him to redirect his direction for the duration of the taunt. And the stun he does, crush. Yeah, 2-second stun on the tank. The only thing you have to watch out for is his whirlwind. So, King Yimiron, occasionally he will cast a Bane on himself. Doesn't last very long, but if you hit him while the debuff is up, I think that causes him to emit AoE damage to anyone nearby, or probably just everyone for no reason. Shadow damage to all players in 10 yards for 5 seconds. Okay. Was that Bane? I missed it. I was looking at the dungeon journal. Anyways, reduce him to a certain health threshold. He will stun all players with the Screams of the Dead. While he's doing this, this kind of makes up for it, so you don't get free damage, but you can escape out of it with human racial, every man for himself, immunities like Ice Block, Divine Protection, maybe Cloak of Shadows from a rogue. Haha, look at that, I escaped it, and now I can damage you freely while you're doing nothing. So, from this one, whoever he called upon, I missed it. It was like a glowy white orb. Deals damage to anyone near it. And what does he do here? Spirit Burst? That's just area damage to everybody in the group. You can think of it as a Shadow Nova. Ooh, fancy purple sword, but oh well, sadly nothing for me. This is just random trash loot, that wrist there. Okay, this has been episode 42 of Dungeon Progression Challenge. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, leave a like. You can exit the dungeon straight through here. And if you want to follow along with the series or anything else on my channel, you can subscribe as well. Next time is Culling of Stratholme and everybody's favorite, Oculus. Hooray! Okay. Till then, be swell, stay well, and farewell.